Hello and welcome to the Bucket Lister podcast. Join your host Keith Crockford along with special guests who have travelled the world, here to share stories of their adventures and plenty of inspo to add to your bucket list. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of the Bucket Lister podcast. This episode is going to come out just before New Year, and we thought it would be a great idea to get all the guides, or as many of the guides as we could get together to have a review of 2022. And last night was the Bucket List staff Christmas party, so everyone came together. So we've got everyone up in London. So I've dragged them out of bed this morning to record this podcast. So we've got Dave. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Keith.
And we've got Gareth.
Hello.
And we've got Jake.
Hi.
That was very short, Jake.
It was. Hello.
There we go.
Okay.
That's a bit better. Yeah, slightly more friendlier. Like, hi.
Oh, I didn't want to do the same as everyone else. That was what it was.
Jake's got some big words. It'd be all right.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's all coming out. It's warming up.
So, how's everyone's heads this morning?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, fine.
Great time out.
Great time out.
Yeah. One Monopoly.
We did the life size Monopoly last night in London, and we had two teams. We had Team Keith and we had Team Sean. And for those lucky enough to be on Team Keith, they
got
actually
two of each team now.
Yeah, we have actually got
the winners on this side of the room and
the losers
Jake
on the
and
other.
Dave.
And Jake and Dave. Yeah. But if you haven't been and done the life size Monopoly in London, it was a really fun hour and a half. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was
Very
was
good.
good, actually.
So we're going to review the trips that not all of the trips, because there's been a lot of trips this year. So we thought we'd just get together and basically talk a load of rubbish for the next sort of 45 minutes about trips that we've done this year and go through some stuff. So, I mean, we've all done a lot of trips this year, haven't we?
Loads.
I mean, coming back from COVID, like, obviously it was always going to be a busy year. Like, we were really lucky at the Bucket List Company that the majority of our clients didn't cancel their trips. They still had them on their bucket list and they just moved them to whenever they could do them. And as soon as we could get travelling again, we just had trip after trip after trip, which has been, I mean, Gareth, how many times have you been to Nepal this year?
I've been away to Nepal 4 times, yeah. Twice each season.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the locals.
and actually you were only, what did we work out in the end, like 10 days short of your allowance of being
I was pretty close to not being allowed to be in Nepal for any more days this year. So
let's have a quick recap then. So we'll start with you then, Dave. What would you say was your best trip of this year?
Oh God, these are also. It's a classic answer. They're all different, aren't they? And I have to say, there's one trip I want to mention, which I always mention, I know, but I must do this time, and that's the Annapurna circuit, because on that trip, it was brilliant as usual, but we had a client who was really struggling with the altitude and absolutely demonstrated mind over matter 2-3 days running and got over the high part, the 5,400 metre part. And I think that's something he'll never forget. I shall never forget it. The fact that every morning he looked like death but wanted to do it, really wanted to do it. And the euphoria I know he felt when he came down the other side just made that a fantastic trip for me, that we had helped him realise his dream. So that was a great trip. There were others, but do you want to go around and I'll have a couple more?
Well, you did a few firsts this year as well. Which one of those really stuck out in your mind?
Oh, I've just come back from Jordan.
Have you? You never mentioned it.
Have I not mentioned that?
No. There's a really good podcast, by the way, a few episodes ago. If you want to go back and listen to Dave get excited about Jordan.
And it was very, very exciting. I just had no idea. And I've travelled a lot. I'm an old boy. I've travelled a lot. And Jordan is so underrated. It seems to be nowhere really in terms of people's imaginations or whatever, but it was just fantastic. The history, the geography, the geology, the people, so friendly. In the midst of Oman, really, really friendly. Young men that, perhaps on the streets of London you'd avoid, engaging in conversation just because they wanted to talk to you. It was beautiful. And then, of course, the highlight was Petra and hiking into Petra. It's just astounding. And as Keith knows, I'm desperate to go back, and hopefully we'll do this year because there's so much to take in. And the food.
Never
And the coffee. I'll go on and on. I'll shut up.
Gareth, what about you? What was your highlight trip of 2022?
Definitely Mara Peak. I don't have to consider a new trip to me. New part of the Himalayas I've been to. 6,500 metres.
Tick.
Proper expedition feel to it. 8,000 metre peaks from the summit. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And again, we did a podcast on that a few weeks ago as well. And, it is a very underrated trip in terms of it is that what's next trip, isn't it? It's for those people who, they've done Everest Base Camp, they've been to Killy.
They want to push themselves a bit, they want to experience new things, push themselves hard.
And it certainly isn't a commercial trip, is it, in terms, or commercialised trip in terms of the other ones?
Quite a trip on the trail, like empty tea houses. It's great.
Jake, what about you?
I've sort of been thinking of my answer has been going around the room, but I think I'm torn between two. Honestly, I can't pick because I think it was the experiences that we had while we were out there. All of the trips are really good for different reasons, and I've had a couple that I've really enjoyed. But actually, one of them was Kilimanjaro this year, and I think the reason that was my favourite expedition this year was because we got the Minister of Tourism visit, and he came up and he officially opened the Wi-Fi at the camp, and and there was other journalists and the film crew, and all of our guys got involved and did little interviews and things like that, and that was probably a massive highlight.
It was just because you were on Tanzania television.
That's what okay. That might have been part of it. Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Famous Jake.
Tanzania Jake.
Yeah, I can't get back in and just all these autographs. No, it was good to. That was quite a big highlight for us on that one, and then probably the other one was was back in Tanzania. It was the cycling trip. And the how close we got to the elephants when we were cycling through one of the national parks is the closest I've ever been. I don't think I'll ever get that close again. It was quite special. So yes,
I think loads of people go on a safari, don't they? But to do it on a mountain bike is a little bit different.
Yeah, you just get to see everything a lot better. Like when you're in a car, people tend to they might have stayed up the night before, or gone out and done different things, and then you end up being a little bit tired, or you just don't pay attention as much. You're waiting for that journey to be over until you get to the safari, you get to the national park, but you miss all of the things that you get to see on the way there. So we were getting to take in all of these things that, even as sometimes we'd get a jeep going past with tourists going straight to one of the national parks, and you'd see them all asleep. Whereas we were seeing zebra and and all of the other animals up close and personal.
Yeah, I would certainly, in terms of bucket list trips, that's one trip that I think deserves to have more people on it. It is a real challenge. It is 360 kilometres worth of cycling.
Yeah.
But I just think we've been known for our trekking trips for so long now.
Yeah.
And we haven't. That's our only cycling trip.
But you break it down into manageable chunks as well, and you get looked after, and they give you loads of food and rest stops and snacks, and they keep you well fed and well hydrated. And actually, 360k sounds like a lot, but when you're there and you start chipping away at it, it's not too bad really.
No.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
So how, on these rough Tanzanian roads, how do you manage with your stabilisers on? No, I think I bet it feels a lot more closer to everything as well. You don't have that, not security of being in a vehicle, but that detachment of being in a vehicle as opposed to on the road on a bike. I bet that's great as well.
Yeah, you kind of get a bit of both because the vehicle stays behind you.
Yeah.
and it actually follows you quite closely, so it acts as a bit of a buffer. So if you do get anybody wanting to pass you or anything like that, they have to go quite wide, so you don't feel like you're ever too close to any of the other.
I swear, but it makes you feel like you're close to the communities you're travelling through.
But as well, you kind of get that like safety net.
Traffic,
You get that safety net, but then you also get you go through villages that you wouldn't necessarily go through, because you just take the main roads, and you get all the encounters with people. In like the shops and the markets, and they kind of want to know why you're doing it as well. Like every time we stopped and we were near a school, I mean, all the kids came like running out. You'd have like 200 kids running over, and you get the teachers getting cross and trying to get them back, and they wouldn't want to go back. And it was chaos, but in a good way.
That was like when we were stuck in Ramshack, wasn't it? Where all the kids came when we were waiting for
Exactly the same. Yes. Yeah, Ramshack.
Like, and you start playing football with them, and you start playing, and it's just so. It just happens, but it's just such a lovely experience. Whenever, whether you're in Peru, whether you're in Nepal, whether you're in Tanzania, that interaction with.
The same in Morocco.
Yeah,
too,
in Morocco.
When you go to trip car, go past those tiny little schools, and the children all come to this side,
and they know you've probably got sweets in your bag because you're trekking. So.
You've got to be careful you don't lose Gareth in the crowd.
Yeah, we do,
He just blends in.
They hand it back at the end.
Quick, come in for a quick English lesson,
Thought
Gareth.
Finish school this time.
Can I take him home?
I think for me, as everyone seems to be having two favourite trips apart from Gareth, like the Lares trek for me, I really enjoyed. And this year was pretty different because we ended up with an Inca Trail and a Lares trek going out exactly the same time. And Dave, you led the Inca Trail trek, and so it was nice to have lots of bucket listers in Lima and in Cusco, but then obviously for those 4 days we then went out and then we all got into Machu Picchu on the same day.
Yeah.
And I just love the Lares trek. It is, again, so much being in the community where you're trekking. You don't see it. We didn't see another trekker for the whole time we were on it, which is a different experience from like the Inca Trail.
We know you love it because we never get a look in on it.
There you go.
Well, you've got to take what you're good at, haven't you? And
having a good time.
Yeah. And I'm very good at sitting in hot springs in Lares. And then I'm going to say, and I didn't actually have any clients on this one, but I'm
that why it was your favourite?
No, but going to Thailand and looking at our new Thailand trip.
You were excited when you got back. On about it.
That was the culture, the food. It's just I just love Thailand, and I think that's going to be. I'm going to be running that trip in the end of 2023.
Yes, that's one that we'll take off ours.
We'll never get to see it.
So
it sounds good.
So when we review 2023, at the end of that podcast, you might be allowed to say I'd like to do that one next year. I just being shown around Thailand and being shown the highlights of Thailand and creating that trip for one that we're going to run for the first time at the end of next year.
Give us a quick run through of the Thailand one then.
So into Bangkok, and then from Bangkok we fly up to Chiang Mai, go to an elephant sanctuary in Chiang Mai. Then we do a short trek to go up and stay with a hill tribe, and we stay the night with a hill tribe. And then in the morning we bamboo raft back out to the road again. Then we go.
Do you have to make the raft?
I think the raft's already ready for you.
That sounds like a trek on its own.
Great.
And then we go back to Chiang Mai, and then we have another evening in Chiang Mai just to explore Chiang Mai town itself. Then we go down to Koh Sok and have, I think it's either 1 or 2 nights in Koh Sok, and then we fly down to Phuket. We drive down to Phuket and then go and finish up in Koh Lanta. And if people want to go scuba diving, not that, I'm not very, scuba diving's not my thing. So I've planned it with a nice few days scuba diving at the end. So if people want to, we've got enough time there that if people would not dive before, they could go and do a an open water course.
Go and do a course.
But if you're already a diver, then you could just go diving and go from there. So I am looking forward to that trip in November next year.
I can see why now.
It's a
Great time of year, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, I went there in monsoon season in July, and we only really had. Well, we didn't really have any rain that stopped us from doing anything. I think we were sat outside one night in Patong, and the heavens opened, and it was proper monsoon rain.
Yeah.
But it lasted like 2 hours, and luckily enough, we were sat in a bar inside. So obviously, we just had to stay there and
Surprise.
wait it out.
Obviously, yeah. Nowhere else.
But it's tough. Someone's got to do it. So, any funny stories from this year? Anyone got anything? Obviously, don't mention any names of any clients like this.
I've got one, and I won't mention who he is, but when we went to Croatia, the Montenegro trip, part of the Croatia trip is sea kayaking, and on the second day we kayak across to another island where we actually get on bikes later on and cycle across. But when we arrive at this tiny little cove, and there is an underwater cave there that you can dive down into, free dive, just swim into. Great, that's all great. And then when we've done that, there's the option to do some cliff jumping, and high cliff jumping into the beautiful warm Mediterranean. So a number of us took that up. Anyway, everyone was saying, look, as I jump off, please take a photo, and if you can, take many. So we're all there taking photographs, and then one guy jumped off, and we were all watching and everyone taking photographs, as he jumped off, his shorts inadvertently slipped down, so all we've got is a picture of his bum dropping down into the water, and that absolutely killed me laughing. I think there's a picture of me doubled up, I wasn't quite expecting that. So that's one little incident of many, I have to say, on that trip.
Brilliant.
I think the one that makes me laugh was when I did Everest Base Camp in the spring. Jake was doing Everest Base Camp in Gokyo at the same time.
Yeah.
So we actually led up to base camp. We kind of led both groups together, and it ended up two of the people on Jake's trip basically they decided that Gokyo was too much for them, and they wanted to come back to go to base camp and then come back with my group. But the guy had planned to propose at base camp, so he was supposed to be there with Jake's group.
Right.
And then of course he's joined my group, and then so he's like, is it all right if I still propose? And I was like, yeah, of course it is, if you want to. So he's like, well, will you help me set it all up, and can you video it for me? So I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I said, what we'll do is I'll pretend that I'm taking a picture of Sandy, and you then kneel down behind her, and then I'll get her to turn around and ask you the question, and you can ask her the question. Perfect. And so I'm taking a picture of Sandy, and Tony's all getting ready. And then I say to Sandy, I'm like, right then, Sandy, turn round. So she starts turning around. She's like, what am I looking at? What am I looking for? And because he's knelt down, she hasn't even put two and two together. So she's like, oh, I can't see what I'm trying to do. And then obviously she catches his eye and then like breaks down. It was all lovely. And, what's that now? We've had three. I think is it 3 proposals now we've had on bucket list trips? I think.
I've been there for 2.
Don't think I've had any.
Yeah, you've been there for 2.
I've had 2 on my trips.
Yeah.
We had a best man request on a tube car.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Nice.
Yeah, that was different, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we've had
to see 2 grown men cry at me.
Yeah. And 2 grown men like the 2 grown men that they were.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We've had a bucket list baby this year.
Yes, we have.
2 people that met on a trip.
Yeah.
Now married,
baby.
and they've had a baby.
Yeah.
So that's
a little boy.
In fact, 2. We've had 2 babies this year. We've had a couple that met on Toop Cow and a couple that met on Killy.
That's true. Yeah.
So we've had 2 bucket list babies this year. And then the other story from Gokyo was obviously because I was going with, obviously when you're on an Everest base camp trek, you want to get photos of you when you're there, and obviously we're always wearing our bucket list jackets. And well, what's the matter, Jake? So Jake and I were stood together getting a photo taken, and we suddenly actually realised how broad Jake is, and you put it down to the jacket makes you look that way.
Well, broad is a good way of putting it. I would say I would have used broad. I'd
have said fat boy.
Yeah. See,
that's me, just me.
That's kind of what it got. Yeah, I don't know.
I think what everyone
You
else
did
needs
something
to
to it. I don't know what you did. There's a reason, because you gave me that jacket. Everyone else had theirs. You went, no, this one's for you. You got it cut purposely. Because I looked twice the size of you and Henry.
Yeah.
I just wasn't. So I don't know. But funnily enough, that photo, if people are interested in seeing it, I think you've plastered it everywhere over the website.
I think isn't it your podcast photo?
It's as you go and listen to that, you can see it. and then the other, see the broad jacket. That's what it is.
And then the other funny story from that trip was regarding Henry, who was our work experience guy that came with us on an Everest base camp trek, and he was brilliant. He got on with the group so well. Everybody loved Henry. He suffered a little bit with altitude, but I remember getting back to Lukla, and we had gone out into what's the name of the bar with the pool table in it in Lukla?
The Waves Bar.
Yeah, the Waves Bar. We'd gone in there, and we started to have a few beers, and they do really good. They brew their own, or they sell the locally brewed Nepalese beer that is really nice. And Henry at one point was like, I've had enough beer. He said, I think, do you fancy a rum? And I was like, yeah, I will, Henry, have a rum. But are you sure, you've had a few beers, are you sure you should have a rum? And he was like, yeah, I always have rum. And I'm like, okay, fine. Then I remember the next morning we had an early wake-up call to fly out of Lukla. And you know what Lukla Airport's like. Yeah. So we were sat in the departure lounge in Lukla, and Henry was looking pretty green. And I remember saying to him, I was like, "You all right, Henry?" Yeah, I'm fine. Then he went into the toilet, but the walls aren't very thick.
Cardboard.
Yeah, and all you could hear was Henry making sure that he had emptied himself before he got onto the aeroplane, and it wasn't a very nice 40-minute flight for Henry back to Kathmandu, so I think he might stay off the rum at altitude.
Those toilets aren't particularly.
No, those toilets.
To be fair, I had a guy who it was the Gokyo trip, and we were flying back, and he hadn't been. It was literally the last night or the last 2 nights he'd not been very well, and we were waiting, and you know what it's like, waiting for flights at Lukla and things like that. And we'd had some really bad weather, so we were just sat down waiting, and nobody really knew when it was going to come in. So he goes to me, I've got time to nip to the loo, haven't I? I'm like, yeah. And as soon as he left, we hear engines, and the planes have all come in, and the guys are going, right, you've got 2 minutes to get everyone on.
Oh, and it's literally as soon as it comes in.
Yeah, because they're like, otherwise, so it's literally like a military operation. There's a guy at the door, just swings the door open, go. So I'm turning around, I'm shouting his name, come on. And he goes, I'm coming, I'm just trying to get my trousers back on. And he comes hopping out of the loo, literally the last one on the plane. And he
Oh, God.
I was like, poor guy, he's had this amazing trip, and then in the last 5 minutes, it was all a little bit traumatic for him.
Yeah. I think the funniest story from staying on the Nepal theme, and this wasn't this year, this was just before COVID, but the funniest Nepal story, I think, is the Mike Downing story. In Dingboche.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. You tell the story, Dave. Go on.
Staying in Dingboche, and I went up to the owner, my bucket list jacket on, and Mike Downing, is an American guy, great guy, was with me, having a really good time.
Another staff member.
Yeah, he's a staff member. I was just going to say, and he came up with me, and I said to the owner, because you have to pay for water, for electric, for showers. So I bought a group of a free shower. He said, you just go down and have a free shower. Mike was with me, and Mike assumed that applied to him. Now, what we know, because Mike never been there before, is the guy who owns it is not the boss. The boss is his wife, who's about 4'6". I tell you, go. She's full of orders. Anyway,
well, I mean, Ram's lovely, isn't he?
He's the best man. He is the best man.
The number of times I go to Dinglebyshay and I'll be waiting to leave, and he'll come up and you'll just feel something in the side of your rucksack, and he's slipping a Mars bar in or a bottle of Coke or something to
a little gift to keep me going.
But he does it in such a secretive way to keep it away from the boss,
so the
missus doesn't find out. I mean, she's lovely as well, but she counts the chips on your plate,
everything. Yeah, and so I was in the shower. I had a shower, and actually my room was just opposite. I went back to her and said, lovely shower, Mike. If you want to go in now. And Mike went in. And Mike was in there. Next thing, there's a hell of a commotion. Mrs. Ram opens the door. Mike's there, nothing on. Goes in the shower, grabs hold of him, drags him out into the corridor. You pay. You not pay. You pay. And Mike said, I'll just get my clothes.
And it's freezing as well.
It's freezing cold.
So cold.
He didn't have time to even dry himself. He put his clothes on all wet. And he had to go straight up to the counter and pay upstairs. And poor old Mike, he was traumatised by it. And that was his first experience of travelling in Nepal, working for the bucket list company. So, lovely Mike, but he had a hard time there.
Me and Jake have got that down to a T now, haven't we? In Nepal, getting free showers. Just learn a little bit Nepali so we can say, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
You're beautiful.
Yeah, actually, that is.
What does the man say back to you for that one?
We always talk to the real boss, Ram's wife.
It's the wife, yes.
Get a free shower.
And she started giving free showers now, is she?
Well,
she wasn't there in October.
But she was there before. She was there before, and actually that kind of it does work quite well.
Yeah,
but
it was good.
Trade secrets.
So, what are you looking forward to in 2023 then, Dave? Bucket list trip wise.
I can't wait, Keith. 4th of January, we get on that plane and go to Patagonia. It's a place I wanted to go to forever, particularly mountains and rock climbing and in my history. So it's just the place to go, and I'm so looking forward to it. The whole thing. What I'm not looking forward to is the half-day horse ride up a mountain. I think that will be a new skill for me. I thought it was going to happen at the end of the trip, but it's happening at the beginning, so I'm going to be walking wounded, I think, for the rest of it.
and you're going to be celebrating a big birthday while you're away?
Yeah, it's true. I'm not making much of that.
Well, how old are you going to be, Dave, in January?
I'm going to be 70, Keith.
See, people don't believe it, do they?
I'm going to be 70.
I've seen his passport, it is true.
Yeah.
He does actually look that
old. You have to renew your driving licence and all these things that you have to do when you're 70. Yeah. But
renew his bucket list guide.
I was going to say,
Renew his bucket list guide.
That's right. I've got my bus pass.
Got your bus pass.
It's valid worldwide now. So I'm ready to go. No, Patagonia, I'm so looking forward to it. Or every component of it. One day we're going to sea kayak out to the mouth of a glacier. I mean, that's like something out of, I don't know, David Attenborough. I'm just so looking forward to the different experiences we're going to have out there.
That's really cool.
And the group I've got, half of whom at least have been away before. They're great people. And I know the two who come are just everybody. It'll be such a great group to take. It's got every component for me.
See, what we should have bought Dave for his Secret Santa from last night, what we should have got him was like an iPhone photography course. Because we send him to all these amazing places, and he comes back with the worst photos you've ever seen. Yeah. It's like, Dave, show us what you saw. It's like, well, I saw this, and we're like, half a penguin.
That's when you FaceTime him and he holds it up to his ear.
Yeah.
Looking down.
Yeah. Well, penguins' feet are interesting, as you know, they don't freeze. They've got blue stuff in there.
Gareth, what about you? 2023, what are you looking forward to?
next summer, I'm going to K2 base camp, Pakistani Himalayas. Supposedly the future of adventure travel. So.
It is. It's the up and coming travel destination.
It's future. You heard it here first.
No, you heard it on my podcast.
Did we?
Yeah, you missed that one. If I were you, Gareth, I'd start listening to the Bucket List podcast.
I'm trying to get my own listenership up.
Dave and I put a few.
You can just keep listening to the ones that you've been on to try and get more listens. Yeah, that's going to be an amazing trip. Actually stay at K2 base camp.
Base camp, Concordia camp.
Yeah, that's going to be
fabulous.
See a load more 8,000 metres.
Yeah, exactly.
And just keep looking at them. At least, you're arguing to say soon. I've seen
majority
of because you've seen
like Annapurna
regions. You've seen those. So
I'll have to count through how many I haven't seen.
I'm actually
going. That's quicker.
I forgot that I'm actually going back down because I'm doing that Poon Hill trek that we did a few years ago. That's part of our best of Nepal trip.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So we'll be heading down there.
That's a great view.
Get to count the steps on that second day.
Yeah.
How many steps is it?
Oh, I can't remember. We tried to count them, didn't we? That was a.
Took a school group out there. And school kids were counting the steps all day. There's like 2,500.
Yeah, it was a lot of steps.
Cut steps, and the kids decided they were going to count them.
Kept them quiet for the day anyway.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Good tactic. Yeah.
And we were there in monsoon season again, weren't we?
Yeah,
and
leeches,
there was leeches,
umbrellas.
You
see all the kids there with all their Gore-Tex swoosh jackets, don't you? And then the locals there in their board shorts and their umbrellas.
Yeah.
So,
with a pack of poncho over.
Yeah, exactly. And they're drier than the kids and all their fancy Gore-Tex. And us. Gore-Tex.
We got umbrellas when you and I did that
in October,
Yeah, and that was the best bit of trekking kit, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. Good in the sun, good in the wet.
Yeah, really good.
Put it on the list.
What are you looking forward to, Jake, in 2023?
Machu Picchu. As I think you guess, it's been on my list for a little while, so I'm looking forward to getting out and seeing that. And to be fair, actually, after last night, I'm looking forward to going and
playing Monopoly again.
No, not Monopoly. I was on about the restaurant that we went to. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the food as well. Really looking forward to the preview. Yeah, all the food, all the pisco sours, all the steaks, everything. So
I just love Cusco.
Yeah,
I think Cusco has to be one of my favourite cities.
Surprisingly, it surprised me, Cusco.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that from.
It's just got everything you need in Cusco. It's got culture, it's got the amazing cathedral.
It's absolutely safe, isn't it? No hassle.
And the main square, the plaza, beautiful. And the thing that
good coffee.
The thing that will surprise you in Peru is McDonald's cannot have their McDonald's sign on the McDonald's in Cusco, and the KFC can't have. It has to tie in with the buildings, so their signage is all black. So in every shop is exactly the same. They've kept it so nice.
So it doesn't aggressivly stand out.
Yeah,
nothing.
It's just
nothing.
that's quite cool.
All that stands out is the architecture.
Yeah,
it's fabulous.
And I love Cusco. The Pisco Museum. You learn so much in the Pisco Museum.
Yeah,
it's
you learn what your limits are, don't you?
Such an educational. But and for me, I think my highlight, like Dave's, is not too far away. 4th of January, I fly out to Chile and Easter Island for our first bucket list trip there. I was last out in Easter Island in 2019. And I just fell in love with the place. And again, I was there in the summer, which is like their winter. So it's going to be really nice going back there in January into the.
How long are you expecting?
Late 20s. Yeah, but it's just
nice
such
contrast.
Just such a cool Polynesian island. You just feel like you're in that. Everyone's just in board shorts and flip flops.
Taking a board, you're going to go surfing?
No, I'm going to go scuba diving because they have sank one of the Moi heads into the sea, and it's at 12 meters. So you can actually you can actually do a scuba dive and have your photo taken underwater next to one of the Moi heads.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's the thing I only know one other person. Well, I know 32 other people because I took a school group to Easter Island. So I do know, but I don't really know them in terms of like my
Peer group.
I only know one other person that's been to Easter Island, and that's only because he joined me on that trip as well. And I think that's what I love about some bucket list trips, is that actually you've got a story to tell that nobody else is telling that story. Yeah. Like, we all know plenty of people who have been on top of Kilimanjaro, or plenty of people who have been to Everest Base Camp. Yeah. But actually, how many people have been to Easter Island? It's a long way to get to.
How long is the flight from the mainland to...
6 hours.
And that's from the mainland.
And
that's
there's like
from the mainland,
nothing in between.
And there's nothing in between.
Nothing but sea.
Yeah.
Quite romantic.
You take... And the really cool thing is there's only one flight a day going to Easter Island from Chile, from Santiago. Yeah. And you're on a proper 343 seat plane. Like, it's a big plane that's going. And the runway stretches the whole bottom width of the island. So as you're coming into land, like, you see the start of the runway, you cross the island for the runway. Like, how many places? And it's not a little small plane either. Like, it's a big plane to stop on that runway. Like, and you think, and you can only get a 7-day visa on Easter Island. So you're not getting people staying there for, you're literally going in, seeing the island and going again. So there's very, you think about it, there's very few tourists there in any 1 week. And actually at the minute, I think there's only...
How many people can get on that plane?
Yeah, 300, 350. Yeah. But I think at the minute, because they haven't really got back from COVID yet in terms of like the island. Like, it's one of the only places currently that you still need to PCR test 48 hours before flying there. They are very still protective of the island.
Yeah. Oh, you still have to, even if you're...
Yeah, even if you're fully vaccinated, you've got to have a PCR test before we go. So obviously that's caused us a few issues because we're not
anymore.
Well, and also we are in Chile for like a week before we actually go to Easter Island. So I've got 19 people, me and 18 people in the group. Like, I've now got to get everyone sorted for that to make sure we can then fly to Easter Island. So there's been sorry about the noise. I think there's a few Christmas parties going on in the office now. You might have picked that up on the microphone, but there was no swearing, so we're okay. So Easter Island is but we're also going to the Atacama Desert, and that is just like the night skies in the Atacama.
So Alex, our Peruvian guide, told me that there's some strain of potato. Obviously, Peru's known for its potatoes. Some strain of potato on Easter Island that has been kind of traced back to Cusco.
Okay.
There's apparently, the explorers from Cusco back in the heyday have made it to Easter Island.
Well, it's really interesting.
So maybe you could do some research while you're there and see if that is...
I will do it, but the interesting... I never knew that about the potato, but when you look at the way they built on Easter Island, they built in exactly the same way as the Incas did.
Yeah.
So you see a wall on Easter Island, and it looks exactly the same, cut and built in the same way. So
obviously Cusco was the naval centre of the Inca world, wasn't it?
The naval.
And isn't it the heads are they go so much further underneath, or is that like a...
Yeah, no, they don't go that much further.
Not that much further.
No, that's just like a meme you've seen on Instagram. It's just completely
really silly. Yeah. No, but I thought there was like a bit more to it. I don't know, but I thought, they're cool, the fact that they've got them.
Just, I want to pick up on something. We talked about earlier, you introduced that section about some of our bucket list trips take you to places. But we also have experiences, astounding moments, I call them, not astounding moments on our trips, don't we? And I think you've just triggered in my mind two things that happened this year. On the Salcantay trip in Peru, we got to the top of the pass, Salcantay Pass, very top, and right next to us, the Salcantay Peak is right next to us, but we were out of danger's way. We witnessed a full-on avalanche coming down, but not from the bottom, but from where it broke off and started. Wow. And that was there was a rumble, and we all turned around, and everybody just stopped, and mouth wide open. It just carried on past us. And the second thing I want to talk about, an astounding moment, and these are just different trips. On the Annapurna trip this year, we go to a place called Upper Pisang. It's about.
Have you done Annapurna? Have you?
Yeah, many times. 4,000, and I shall continue to go there many times. 4,000.
Goes back from McDonald's.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Go to McDonald's, yes.
Yeah.
But we were in Upper Pisang. It's about 4,300 metres up, on the terrace of a tea house on the side of the mountain, really. And we had 3 golden eagles drop down. And at our height, I would say no more than 100 metres away, looking out over the valley, they turn. So when they turn, the underbelly faces you, and you see all the gold. And I've seen a golden eagle once in the sky, in Scotland once, but to have 3 come down and swoop and actually reveal themselves and then go off, it was an astounding moment for me. But one of our clients, got a Welsh chap, which will remain nameless, who's massive on ornithology and birds. He couldn't speak. Really, I'm not exaggerating. He couldn't speak for a minute. He was just sweating and palpitating. It was the biggest thing in his life ever. His interest. And he said, "I'm going to talk about that forever and ever until I die."
Yeah.
So it's just, you have these moments, as well.
Not guaranteed.
No. We can't guarantee an avalanche, and we can't guarantee.
But you've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah. But you're right, Gareth.
Well,
you on commission or something?
he's come out with some wise words today, hasn't he? He's done very well.
I think. He's got some notes under the table.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone would be more surprised about Gareth's attire last night.
Gareth,
I was most surprised. I think.
You didn't get any pictures, did you?
There's a couple of pictures. Gareth actually had a smart pair of trousers, a shirt, and a jumper on.
White shirt, and it was all clean around the neck and everything.
Yeah, but the best thing that I like is that with all of that going up the top, you still had your cleanest pair of approaches.
His only pair.
Got one in my boots.
It wasn't like you bought like different shoes.
Well, you needed plenty of grip for the competition.
Yeah,
didn't
exactly.
You? Yeah.
So we started this podcast this year, and I think this is episode 25.
Ooh.
I've managed to do one podcast, and I haven't missed a week, even though being away, I've been very organised. So my aim was always to make it to Christmas and see how it went. And surprisingly, people listen to it. That's the amazing
not so much
thing.
To Jake's ones, but
not so much to Jake's ones.
Right. Well, I think we all know
it does
that's not
depend on
true.
the guest, doesn't it? The guest speaker.
It does depend on the guest.
Numbers speak for themselves. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the university of the third age are listening to mine avidly.
I mean, we are all, Jake currently, is winning as the most listened to guest podcast so far. Yeah. I mean, you've got a theory behind that, Gareth.
Yeah, Jake definitely. He puts his own podcast on repeat on his phone at night. And he turns the volume down.
Yeah.
Just so he gets about 6 new listens an evening.
Yeah. And his mum.
Yeah, to be fair. Well, the other one, actually, that's quite a good idea, because all of the knowledge that I've got to impart into the world, you could just leave it playing while you sleep, and then it just absorbs subconsciously.
Yeah, but you already know it. It's only you that's doing it.
Yeah, well, sometimes I forget
who I am. Like last night.
And I know, obviously, everybody should be listening to this podcast, but is anyone else listening to any other podcasts at the minute that they want to...
Other than the rugby pod, the weekly rugby pod, I listen to Kenton Cool's one a lot.
Cool conversations,
yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. Always got something interesting. He's always got an interesting guest on, or he does his what they call them, Tales from the Trails.
Yeah.
So he does a podcast from the trail. It's quite interesting.
That's that's worth a listen, actually.
That's my favourite. You listen to anything different?
No.
He doesn't know how podcast work, does he?
That's my problem, really. when you've got a little Nokia phone, it's hard to do.
He's trying to work out how our voices have got onto the phone.
Yeah. Well, is it you phoning me or what, Gareth? He just keeps on talking. It's
That's
just having a
getting back.
conversation with him.
Well, we're going to start bringing this podcast to an end now. Hope you've enjoyed listening to the four of us ramble on. It's the 28th that we've launched this podcast on, so the 28th of December. So Christmas is now gone. Obviously, we are recording this before Christmas, but Christmas is now gone when you're listening to this podcast. So hopefully you all had some lovely new approach shoes and a duffel bag and everything else that you needed.
Yeah.
And New Year is coming. But more importantly, on Boxing Day, we launched our 2025 dates, bucket list trip dates. So they are all now live. So all of our trips can be booked right up now until 2025. And obviously the reason why we do that is because with our monthly payment plans, obviously some of our trips, Chile and Easter Island, Patagonia, K2 Base Camp, Amadablam, they are expensive trips and we completely understand that. And they are on plenty of people's bucket lists. But obviously, the further you book it away, the cheaper your monthly payments can be. I mean, the one that always surprises me is, I know, October 2025 seems a long, long way away. But, if you wanted to do a Mount Toubkal trek, it's £20 a month if you book a Toubkal trek. So you could
25
for 2025. Now I know it's a long way away, but
it soon comes round.
it does soon come round. That's the thing. I mean, Dave was it only seems yesterday Dave was 60. That's just crept right up on
Dave
it.
can tell you about times when before
I know.
colour,
Yeah.
the world was black and white still.
Yeah, when Mount Toubkal was 20 metres taller.
We're on the wireless now.
It's avalanches.
When Dave started his travelling, I think didn't you have to get everywhere by steamship?
Sail. Yeah.
Well, that's going to be it from us. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed 2022. We hope to see you on one of our trips in 2023.
Yes.
We are certainly looking forward to heading back and travelling again. If you've got any questions on any of our trips, then always please do email in to the office, and either one of the team in the office will be pleased to help, or if they can't answer your question, then they will pass it to one of us and we will come back to you with a response. So have a great new year, really enjoy it, and we hope to see you in 2023. Thanks very much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Bucket Lister podcast. Be sure to click follow to be alerted for next week's episode. For more travel inspiration, check us out at www.thebucketlistcompany.co.uk or follow us on socials. See you next time.